How to text your crush. Hi guys, my name is Christine Loveridge and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about how to text your crush. So before we get into this video, please do like this video and please do subscribe if you haven't done so already, as that really does help my channel out. Thank you so much. So the first thing that I want to discuss is texting is a very inefficient way to get to know someone. And the reason why it's inefficient is because texting and getting to know each other that way, being in contact with people that way, has only been around for a couple of decades, a few decades, right? We're not really wired to get to know someone over text and over online, things like that. The best way to actually get to know someone, and the way that we are actually wired, is to get to know someone face to face. So when you're texting or messaging your crush, it's important to know that you should probably really limit your correspondence in this way, because we are simply not wired to get to know someone over text messenger. And you'll know this if you've ever, let's say, I don't know if you've ever like made a friend online and then you go and meet up with them and then it feels really, really awkward. Well, the reason why it feels really awkward is because this is the first time you've actually met them, right? You know what it's like to talk to them on text, but you don't know what it's actually like to be with them in person. So if you think about relationships, romantic relationships, especially if this is, with someone who you want to spend your life with, so that means eventually getting married, having a house, probably having children, those kinds of things. You're going to be spending a lot of time with this person face to face in a physical environment. You're going to sleep together, you're going to be making dinner together, you're going to be raising kids together. A lot of your interaction is going to be in person. In fact, all of it will probably be in person, apart from those odd occasions where they're at work and they might message you and say, can you pick up some eggs on the way home? That's kind of like how things will go, right? So if you're trying to get to know someone over text and over Messenger, it's actually the least efficient way to know someone and to get to know someone. I know a lot of people who get really hung up on the fact that they're having great conversations with someone online, yet they've not met them yet. And when you're texting, you haven't met each other. So our brains are not wired to get to know someone that way, not really. The best way to get to know someone is in person. So when you're texting someone, you must do this in a very limited way. And I personally think, and this is one of the huge ones that I learned when I started to study dating and stuff. So one of the big dating coaches on YouTube is Coach Corey Wayne. And he says that when you text someone, it should only be for setting up dates, setting up appointments. So he kind of looks at it as like a very, I guess you could say, negotiable salesman kind of type of way. So, if you think of like salesmen and people that negotiate a lot, they set up appointments very quickly. They talk to a client and they say, okay, we're going to meet. I'm going to talk to you at this time. I'm going to call you at this point. And then that's kind of like a spoken agreement, shall we say. And both ends stay on the agreement because obviously it's a kind of business-like situation. And that's probably the best way you can do it with like dating as well. I guess obviously with like business stuff and negotiation and all that kind of stuff, it's very formal. But so you can obviously do this in an informal way, like meeting up and setting up dates, appointments with your date. And you can do so in a much more informal way rather than like a business way. When you are talking to your crush, ask them when they are available to meet up with you. I recently made a video on how to ask a girl out. You can go and check out that video. In that video, I go into detail on how to, ask someone out effectively. That will give you the most likely chance of getting a yes. So I'll just give you like a quick example, right? So you can send a message to your crush, be like, hey, how are you? They'll probably respond something like, I'm great, thanks, how are you? And you'd be like, I'm great, thanks, I'm okay, thanks, I'm doing well. Something like that, something very generic. And then after those generic kind of like informal, hey, how are yous are finished, that's when you ask, so I'd like to hang out with you. When are you available to hang out? Or something like that. Or I'd like to see you. When are you available to meet up? Or I think you're really cute. I'd like to go on a date with you. When are you free to meet up? Something like that. And then if they're interested in you, what they'll do is they'll tell you when they're available to do so. And then you make a time, a date, and a place to meet up, and you're sorted, basically. As long as this person wants to hang out with you as well. Another thing to keep in mind as well is that your crush needs to know your intentions. Your crush needs to know that when you're texting them, asking them to meet up, that you want to do so in a romantic way and you're not just arranging to hang out as friends. So the best way you can do that is by adding in something like, I think you're really attractive, or I think you're really cute. Something that implies romance, right? So something like that, like, I think you're really cute, when are you free to hang out, implies romance. Or I think you're really attractive, when are you free to hang out, or when are you free to meet up. It implies attraction and romance. And you're letting your intentions be known. So one of the things that I used to do as a teenager is that I would send my crush a text every day. This was like the most ineffective thing I could possibly do. So every day I was like, hey, how are you? Or I would send them like a poem or something that I wrote. And it never worked. It never worked. So, and I'm pretty sure it had the opposite effect. It put them off me even more. Okay. So don't over text, don't over message, because it's not going to work. And it's really, really ineffective. Only use texting or messaging as a way to set up a date or to set up a meeting up with each other. So what if your crush wants to actually have a chat with you online? My advice for this is to not do it. So I would say, let's say your crush says to you, or starts like sending you things, and it's clear that they want a conversation. You can just say, and obviously this is really ineffective and it's not a great way to get to know someone, like I've already discussed. Like, you get to know someone face to face. So when this kind of thing happens and it's clear that they want to have a talk with you, you can probably send them a couple of messages. And I literally mean like a couple, like 2 messages or maybe 3 at a push. I think 6 is probably the maximum to send, like as in replies, 6 replies to their messages. Not 6 replies like straight after one message of theirs. So they send you 6, you also send 6 as well. So they send a message, you send a message, they send a message, you send a message. You know, you understand, right? Please let me know if you don't understand. And then at some point, all you need to do is just say to them, I've got to run, I'll talk to you again later, or let me know when you're free to hang out. That might be a good last message to send them, you know. Let me know when you're free to hang out, something like that. So it'll probably go along the lines of, sorry, I got to run, but let me know when you're free to hang out. That'll be a good last message to send them, and they'll understand. Like if you're busy and you've got to run, so let's say you're a student, you could say something like, okay, I've got to go and hit the books, I'll talk to you later, let me know when you're free to hang out. Or if you're, you know, someone who's in the workforce right now, you've got a job or something, then you could say, oh, I've got to go and email my boss, or I've got to hit the sack because, you know, I'll go get up early tomorrow, I'll talk to you soon, let me know when you're free to hang out, you know, something like that. And usually another thing with texting as well and communication online and messaging is that there can be miscommunication. So for example, I like to put emojis in my messages, so and I also don't put any full stops at the end of my messages. And I know it's only my perception of it, but when someone sends me a message where there's no emojis and there's a full stop at the end, kind of makes me feel like they're mad at me, okay? But that's just how I perceive it. I know, I'm aware that they're probably not mad at me, and this might be they might be just a punctuation freak, right? So if that's the case, then that's fine. And some people aren't really aware of it. Some people might get a message where there's a full stop at the end, and they might actually genuinely think that that person is mad at them. So there can be a lot of miscommunication, and there's things like autocorrect that might mess up your words, or predictive text and all that kind of stuff. It's just really, really ineffective, and it's really, I don't know, it makes things go a lot slower, I personally think. It's much more better to use texting and messaging as a ways to quickly arrange to meet up with someone, rather than getting to know them, because again, you can't get to know someone. Like, experiment with this, okay? If you want to take this route and you want to get to know someone online just through Messenger and stuff, so experiment with it. Let's say you know someone online, or you are on a dating app right now and you're talking to someone. have a month where you only get to know them online. So you're messaging them, you're having chats and stuff like that, and then meet up with them in person after that month, right? And when you meet up with them, what you'll find is that it's really, really awkward because you don't know each other. So test it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Don't just take anyone's word for it from the internet. Test these techniques yourself. And then alternatively, if you know someone else who you're, trying to get a date with, do the opposite. Just use your phone and you text messaging and stuff like that as a way to meet up with them, as opposed to getting to know them. Just use it as that means of getting to know them and see what happens. See how well it works for you and see how it's much more effective and much more better. So if you are long distance, then obviously the next best thing you can do is like a video chat, like getting to know someone over like Facebook video or WhatsApp video, FaceTime, Skype, any of those kind of platforms. So obviously that's the next best thing if you can't actually meet up with them in person. So if you can do a video call with them, that's probably a lot better than messaging them and getting to know them that way. However, don't think that you can use this as an excuse as to not meet up with them and stuff like that. Because I know some people will probably look at this video and think, oh, well, yeah, great. Christine says that I can just video message them. But that kind of only works for those people that are really long distance from who they're with. If the person that you're talking to and the person that you want to go on a date with only lives a few miles away from you, they don't really have to go very far in order to meet you. So let's say there's maximum an hour driving distance or hour commuting distance between you two, then don't video chat because you don't need to. You can meet up with them in person. But if they live on a different continent or on the other side of the country, then you can video chat with them as ways to get to know them. But again, I've when I was in the dating game world, whatever, right, I video chatted a few people because obviously they lived on different, quite far away, and when I met up with them, it still felt awkward, because I still hadn't met them properly, because it's still seeing someone in person and having them right in front of you is still so different than having a video chat with someone. And I'm trying to figure out why this might be, because I think it has something to do with the fact that we give off frequencies and energy, and we can read people just so much more better when they're actually in front of us, physically in front of us, as opposed to a video chat. Yeah, it's better than texting, but even if you do that and you meet up with them, it's still going to be awkward and it's still going to feel very weird because it's still the first time you're actually meeting them. It's still the first time you're in their physical presence. And I think it's the physical presence that really makes the difference, even with things like video chat where you can actually see them. But it's like I said, it's much different than when they're actually in front of you as opposed to you're looking at them through a screen. So I hope this has given you some help on how to text your crush and why it's probably really ineffective to text them too much, and always be messaging them and using it as a form to get to know them as opposed to meeting up with them in person. So I hope this has encouraged you to be a little bit more snappy with the messages that you send as opposed to using it as a form to get to know someone. And what I mean by snappy is getting to the point, right? It's getting to the point of where you have made solid plans to meet up with them. And that's kind of what you should always be aiming for in your conversations with them if you are texting them on the phone or on Messenger or something like that. The end point is to arrange a date with them and to make plans to see them in person. Again, if it's long distance, then making plans to see them on video chat. But you should always still be trying to make plans to meet up with them in person, because if you're not, then what's the point? Okay, remember, I assume you want to be in a relationship with them, and that means having a house, having kids, being with them all the time, being married, all those kinds of things, those kind of stereotypical things that people do when they are in a physical relationship. You know, you want to be around them physically in their presence. So even if you are long distance, you should still be aiming to make plans to actually meet them in person. And you can do video chats like once a week until you get to that point where you can actually meet. If you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com/shop. On there is a free PDF download that you can get of my dating manual. It's in the beta stages, so if you do actually download it and read it, please let me know if you have any feedback, any things that you would like me to put in there, or any things that you think shouldn't be in there or something like that. Please let me know, as I really appreciate the feedback. I hope this video has helped you. Thanks so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Bye guys.